If he wanted to, he would. Yeah, he doesn't want to. So we have to force him. Like, he doesn't want to. Okay? Obviously, if he did, he would, but he doesn't. So I'm going to figure out a way around it all. I'm not just going to give up.
Well, hello. Welcome back to another episode of 20-somethings podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Sarah Birch. And if this is your first time here, welcome. You are happening to join me on a very controversial topic, which is probably why you're here. And that topic is, if they wanted to, they would. We've all heard this quote. We've all heard this expression flying around TikTok, Instagram, and I'm a little sick of it. And I think a lot of other people are getting fatigued of it too. My overall thesis that I will be presenting to you today is that I do think overall there is merit in it. I think it has a point. I think on a base level, it's true. If someone wants to be with you, if they want to see you, if they want to talk to you, they will. But I think just throwing out that sentence all the time as like a Band-Aid sentence to just kind of like wrap everything up in a bow is like a little irresponsible and just too black or white for my personal mentality. But I just think people are so complex, so fallible. Nobody's perfect. Everyone's on their own journey of like healing and growing and overcoming things. And like, you know, just everybody's at a different state of their journey, and everyone processes their emotions differently. Some people inevitably process them a lot healthier than others and are able to communicate those boundaries and those emotions and those fears and whatever else in a healthy way. And then other people cannot and will not, because maybe they're an avoidant attachment, or maybe they're scared they're going to say the wrong thing or whatever. So that's kind of like my overall thought. But that doesn't mean you click off now, guys, because we're going to get into a whole bunch of things. I have various TikToks I want to play. I want to talk about my dad's point of view. And I just want to get into like an interesting discussion that's not hopefully coming from a place of judgment, because I think if he wanted to, he would. Or if she wanted to, she would. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to get into this right now. Guys, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be saying throughout this episode, if he wanted to, he would. And almost every single TikTok I'm going to play is people saying, if he wanted to, he would. Pronoun being he. Of course, in theory, and people always jump down my throat when I don't use both pronouns. Of course, in theory, this could go for non-binary people or women as well. But I think the overall discussion that I'm seeing with this particular concept is masculine or man-oriented, because men, according to a lot of these people, are very like ambitious and very like goal-oriented, and like they don't want to like fluff around. They want to just like, if they want something, they get it done, and they like eye on the prize. Like that's how a lot of people associate male desire and male thinking. And women are just different. The way they process things, the timing, the way like women can do mental gymnastics, and men are sometimes a little bit more to the point and a little bit more direct. And I know that's a generalization, and I'm probably going to be speaking in generalizations, as I kind of have to when I'm talking about an entire like concept, but deal with it. So I think overall it is talking more about men and how men want to date and how men don't want to date and how men communicate. That's the overall rhetoric I've been seeing, is if he wanted to, he would. So I'm going to try to, of course, bring in a female perspective, but that's just how it's going to be today. So get off my jock if you have an issue with it. And some of the TikToks I'm going to show you today are very jarring, and like, Jesus, like it feels like these strangers are yelling at you sometimes, or like being very patronizing, essentially telling you that you're like an idiot for having feelings for this person or whatever. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize, slowly but surely, because I think this whole if he wanted to, he would saying kind of popped off probably 2 years ago on TikTok especially, but it's kind of proliferated throughout different social media platforms. And at first everyone like jumped on it, and people were literally saying it all day, every day, for every situation. And most people were like 100%. We are in a man-hating era right now, which I think I'm definitely a part of. I've led the charge, but I think it's getting a little out of hand sometimes, where we expect men or people to have like infinite grace and make so many like allowances for women and their emotions and their vulnerabilities and their struggles, which makes sense because women have been predominantly like objectified and oppressed in our society, in our world. Like it makes sense for there to be more grace for women, whereas men have been the leaders of the patriarchy. But I think for it to be like a good, safe world for everyone, like we also need to hold space for men and their mental health and their journeys and their struggles as well. And I know you'd probably never think you'd hear me say that on the podcast, but I am in the process of healing my man hater disease. It will always be there deep down, but I'm trying to provide grace for everybody as I would hope they would do for me. What if that man who canceled on the plans or couldn't text you back, like what if he was having a panic attack or his grandmother just died or I don't know. Like I know these are like quote unquote dumb excuses, like blah, blah, blah. But like sometimes girls do this too. You know, girls will take a few days to text back because they're going through something. And my friends often take a very long time to text me back. Like my girlfriends, like 2, 3, 4 days, sometimes weeks to text me back. And I don't care. It doesn't faze me because it's like, hey girl, sorry, I was going through something, or like, hey, I've had such a busy week, or hey, sorry, like, and I'm just like, oh yeah, no problem, whatever. And I don't care. I don't take it like personally. I mean, I guess sometimes you would if it's like happening over and over again. But with men, or I guess women, depending, like with the person you're pursuing in a romantic sense or sexual sense, people take it so personally and people have like no tolerance. And I just find that an interesting dichotomy, how we're willing to give like a certain amount of grace for our siblings, our parents, our friends, coworkers, whatever. But like we're not willing to extend that for people that we want to pursue romantically. I think that's created this crazy amount of pressure for people to be available 24/7, not just with work. I know this has been a conversation floating around workspaces and stuff, how people often work from their phone or work obviously from a computer, email, phones, and a lot of times that traditional like 9 to 5 doesn't exist anymore because you might still be getting emails or check-ins in the evening after dinner, or you might wake up to a bunch of work emails first thing in the morning on your phone. It's like you can almost never shut off. And then of course with social media, a lot of people feel like they never can shut off as well. And now I think with the invention of the cellular telephone, I imagine a lot of people feel like they can't shut off with dating or with relationships either, because you know, it's no longer like, okay, we made a date for Friday night, I will see you Friday night, and I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to like live my life. It's no longer like that. It's like, okay, but you need to text me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday leading up to the date, or else you don't like me. And I used to 100% subscribe to that mindset, and in some ways I still do. I'm 100% an anxious attachment personality who is typically attracted and drawn to avoidant personalities, which is just the way most people are. You tend to be like attracted based on your trauma responses and stuff to like the opposite of what you are, which never goes well. But anyway, but I am in healing recovery. I'm doing my therapy. Like I'm working really hard at trying to heal a lot of that like toxic, anxious attachment thoughts that go on in my head. I was talking to my friend Andrea about this. I think a lot of people have started developing severe anxious attachment with this little thing here. Like we have contact and access to people 24/7 now, and we do. But what are the guidelines? What are the rules? You know, everybody operates so differently on their phone. Everyone has such different patterns and habits and boundaries with their phone. And some people love being on their phone 24/7. Some people hate it. You know, some people, when they're going through something, they want to be on their phone talking to people, reaching out to people. Some people want to just shut out the whole world. I'm not saying one is healthier than the other, but like when two people process their relationship with their phone differently, or even more so, if two people have different expectations immediately going into dating or going into a relationship of how often they're going to text, how often they're going to call, how often they're going to see each other, then it's kind of doomed for failure. I was talking to my dad about this, and he was like, it used to just be so much easier. Like, he was like, when I was dating, obviously, when I was younger, we had landlines. So it was just very, like, simple. You'd, like, call them up, make a date, make a plan, and that was that. And then you'd show up on that day and go on the date. And then usually at the end of the date, you'd say, I'll call you and we'll make another plan. we weren't checking each other's stories and Snapchatting each other and FaceTiming each other and texting. Like, it's just a lot. And then, of course, there's these discussions of, and I'm guilty of this all the time. Okay, well, he literally just looked at my story, but he didn't text me back. He's obviously on his phone because he's looking at my story, but he's not texting me back. And you can like go in circles. And then, also if you message your friend or your girlfriend or whoever, your sister or whoever, like, hey, he didn't text me back, but he saw my story. It's pretty likely that you will receive a like, ugh, I hate that. Like, fuck him. Like, ugh, cut him off, like, it's just interesting. We haven't figured out these little things in our hands. We don't know the ramifications that these will have in the long run on our mental health, physical health, relationships. People are still in the early stages of phones. I know it feels like we've had them forever, but we really haven't. A lot of the if he wanted to, he would conversations I'm hearing are directly related to texting and FaceTiming and calling. There's a few people who talk about if he wanted to take you on a date, he would, which I think is a separate sort of conversation. I think that's pretty obvious. Like, if a guy wants to take you out, he'll take you out. But the way he has to facilitate that is through a phone. He needs to either text you or call you or FaceTime you to get details, times, dates, availability, etc. So everything, even if it is talking about a physical plan, person to person meeting up, a date, it still has to go through a phone, That concept of if he wanted to, he would is directly related to phones. And I think it's been exacerbated like I kind of said earlier, I keep getting, guys, I'm just rambling. I'm going to get sidetracked so many times here, but I'm just like processing my thoughts and hopefully making some good points. But if people already were slightly anxious with communication, maybe based on their childhood or something like that, that probably is not well suited, and I am a walking, living example of this, to like online dating or texting. Like, it's just not a good combination. If you're just like an anxious person who is often in need of like reassurance, communication, validation, then the world of online dating and online communication is just, especially with someone who sucks at it, is just probably not great for you. But then how else do you freaking meet people? Like, I know you can go out to like a coffee shop, and I do. I'm always out and about. I'm at the gym, I'm at the coffee shop, I'm at the bar, but I'm at that age where everyone's taken. Give it a few years, people will be breaking up and divorcing, and then we'll see what happens. But I'm at that point where all the eligible bachelors are taken. So I wanted to I have two little like videos I made combining different perspectives from people, so you can get a sense, if you're not on TikTok or you're a bit older or you've been in a relationship forever and you don't get fed this type of media, you can get a sense of what us single bitches are out here having to listen to 24/7. So I'm going to kind of show two perspectives. One is videos that 100% say if he wanted to, he would. And then I'm also going to show videos that kind of express the flip side or have like a more nuanced approach to it. So I will play those and I will put them on the screen for the YouTube video. So if you want to actually see the videos, then go on YouTube.
If he wanted to text you, he would. If he wanted to call you, he would. If he wanted to FaceTime you, he would.
One thing I wish I knew before I started dating in my early 20s, sis, you'll never have to ask a guy that actually loves or likes you for anything. If you have to beg for romance, dates, reassurance, he's not interested, babe.
I'm about to give you the ugly truth about if he wanted to, he would. Every single thing a man does in dating is 100% intentional. I'm gonna say it again, 100% intentional. If you haven't heard from him in 3-4 days, 100% intentional. If he hasn't taken you out on a date in 2-3 weeks, 100% intentional. Okay, everything is intentional. Every man knows what he wants. Men are very purpose, accomplishment driven. So if there's a woman that he's really interested in, he's not gonna go 3-4 days without contacting her. He's not gonna go 2-3 weeks without taking her on a date, okay?
Right. Men are not hard. It's like if they want something, they'll literally let you know.
I know.
So if you're feeling confused or lost, it's
for a
because
reason.
they don't want you.
I strongly believe that if a guy really wants you, and I say this as a man myself, if a guy really wants you, you don't have to struggle for his attention. You don't have to struggle to get that one reply out of him.
Ladies, this is your reminder that if he wants to, he would. Because if he wants to, he simply would. And if he doesn't want to, he's not gonna. It's a hard pill to swallow, but sit back and watch him do what he wants to do to see what he would rather do.
If he really wants you, you won't have to ask for effort. He'll text you, he'll call you, and he'll make time for you.
Yes, if he wanted to, he would. But why are the ones who would always the ones who I'm like, please don't? Like,
if you're a girl, understand that if a guy genuinely wants you, he will make that very clear. And what does that look like? Well, first and foremost, don't ever listen to the "I'm too busy" excuse, okay? That is always an excuse or another saying for "I don't like you" or "I kind of like you, but I don't want to date you."
If a man goes from texting you all the time, taking you out consistently, calling you, but suddenly he's now too busy. His feelings have changed. Nobody is too busy to call or to see someone. Nobody. Ever.
But if he wanted to, he would. Ain't no excuses, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't care what extenuating circumstances he done told you about. If that man wanted to, he would.
The only way to know if a guy is really into you is by asking yourself this question. Does he invest in me? His time, his money, his energy. Does he invest? If he's not spending on you time, energy, and money, he's not into you.
Ladies, I cannot make this up. If he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to, he would.
If men wanted to, they would. So there's no need to beg them.
I know.
When they feel like they found the right girl, they're going to do everything.
Are you guys still with me? Deep breaths, deep breaths, deep breaths. I know that was probably extremely fucking triggering, especially to hear it all in like a barrage like that. That's what it's like being on social media as a single girl. And then I hear dumbass men. Oh my God, Sarah, be kind, be kind. Sorry guys, that just like slipped out of me. Like, whoo. I hear men who I like date or I'm seeing, and it's like, babe, why don't you trust me? Like, why do you just assume the worst of me? Why do you just assume this is going to be negative and this isn't going to work out? And they like want you to be some innocent, naive, like batting your Bambi eyelashes, trusting them, like being sweet and delicate. And I understand why men would be attracted to that, because that's like how every girl is when they're like 18 and they've never been heartbroken or betrayed before. Just like I guess women want men to like lean into their masculinity and show that strength. But it's just not realistic, A, when you've been betrayed or hurt or cheated on or ghosted or whatever time and time and time again. Of course, you're going to develop, walls and a guard and fear and anxiety. And men are the same way. Like men go through different heartbreaks and different experiences, and it causes them to have more and more anxiety as they go into future relationships because, let's say, the last 4 times that they tried, it did not work. So there's already that anxiety from personal experience, but then when you are inundated with shit like this from total strangers who are telling you without any nuance or context or grace, essentially like point blank saying he does not like you, you're an idiot. And I know they're coming at it, of course, in their minds from a place of like, I'm trying to help, I'm trying to motivate, which I understand. And maybe for some people, this like tough love will work. Everyone's situations are different. You can't just like put a blanket sentence on every single relationship or every single man or every single woman. And there was 2 specific in there that I actually do agree with. All the rest I think were kind of annoying, to be honest. But the one where the girl says, I love her. She's like, yes, if he wanted to, he would. But like, why are the ones who want to, like, I'm not into them. Like, why? Like, that is so real. And I know men know this. Like, I know men know when they pull away and they play hard to get and they ghost, women become more into them and obsessed with them. And the same thing happens, I think, with men. Like when women pull away and like are aloof, men find them all of a sudden sexier. I mean, it's human nature. You want what you can't have. The more intangible something seems, the more sexy it seems in a way, because it's not just like dropped onto your lap. Like we tend to take things for granted that just are like just fall into our lap. I also think we all need to learn when we do have like a good thing in front of us and we do have a person that's trying to make an effort in trying to make something real and be honest, and like it's just a balance. It's really hard. Like there was a guy I was talking to briefly for like, we didn't even go on a date, but we were talking for a little while, and he just was coming on real strong. You know, like, let me take you out on a date. When are you free? And then I'd be like, I'm not free tonight. I have a thing. Okay, are you free later tonight? No. Okay, are you free tomorrow morning? No. Are you free at 2:00? No. Hey, I know it's last minute, but can I come pick you up right now? Blah, blah. And I started to get turned off. Like, I mean, I wasn't even, let's be honest, I wasn't that into him in the first place. If I was really, really like sexually attracted to this guy, like, I don't know, maybe I would have popped off. But that energy, I'm like, you know, why are you so into me? You don't even know me. Like, we haven't even gone on a date. You've seen 3 or 4 photos of me on my dating profile, and now all of a sudden you are like desperate to see me. So that's like, I can see why people get turned off from that, because it's just this feeling sometimes, especially as a woman, of like, you've put me on a pedestal and it's too much pressure, and you don't seem like you have a life because you're free every 5 seconds. You want to talk to me every 5 seconds. The flip side, which I think a lot of women weirdly are attracted to, even though it never goes anywhere serious ever, is like the fuckboys who kind of suck at communicating, kind of suck at following through. You know that they're talking to multiple girls, and you know they're hot, they're charming, they're probably over 6'2", let's be honest. And those are the those are the guys who get all the girls. But those are the guys who get all the girls temporarily. Those are not the guys who end up in happy, fulfilling relationships and marriages. It just is what it is. Like, it depends on where the girl's at, where the guy's at, what they're actually ready for, what they're actually looking for, and what you're willing to tolerate. But I think the key to all of this is communication. And that's what's really lacking with our generation. And everyone, I think, is very scared of commitment because everyone's lives, I mean, I don't know why. Maybe we all saw our parents get divorced. Maybe we're all exposed to way too many options on date. I think that's a huge part of it. We're all exposed to too many options on dating apps and social media. And we think that we have like the world at our fingertips. So we take, you know, the good thing that we have for granted. So next, now that hopefully I've talked you off a cliff a little bit after that first series of videos, I'm going to present a different point of view from another set of creators. I think it's important to note that it was a lot harder for me to find these type of videos that sort of denounce, if they wanted to, they would, than it was for me to find videos promoting, if you wanted to, we would. This seems to be what I'm about to show you. This seems to be the sort of subversive opinion that most people don't agree with. So I'll show you these and then we'll discuss, and then I guess we'll go from there.
I can't stand the phrase, if they wanted to, they would. It's lazy and it's bullshit. We put these expectations, if they don't text me first, if they don't hit me up for plans, if they don't follow up, if they haven't reached out to me, that they must not love me. You're telling me you haven't liked somebody and your social battery's been low, and you've been really busy with work, or you just haven't really had the energy to want to meet somebody new and be around new people. And you're telling me you're gonna put the expectation on other people that they need to hit you up, that, if they don't do something for you, that they must not love you? Lazy.
There's a popular saying that says, if they wanted to, they would. Which is true, it's true, but you also have to think, do they even have the emotional capacity to be treating me the way that I want to be treated? Are they aware of what they're feeling, or are they just projecting it onto you? Can they even comprehend what it is that they're doing to you that's causing you to get upset? And are they able to make a change? And if the answer is no, then you might have to think about where you're putting your energy.
Here's the thing. I could be so into you, and I'll still leave you alone.
And that is why I continue to say texting is not the only way that someone can show their interest in you. A lot of people don't want to fucking communicate all the time. They might be into you, but they don't feel like they need to show it to you every time, because like this gentleman goes on to say, it's because I don't need you. I like you. And when you've just started dating somebody, you don't fucking know that person. So why would they start including you in your day-to-day life when they don't fucking know you?
In my early 20s, when I decided that I liked a guy, I wanted to text him every day, okay? And I've told you this before, texting creates a false sense of closeness, okay? In my late 20s, I have identified for myself that I will not be texting a man every single day unless I am exclusive with him and unless I am seeing him multiple times a week. But even then, that would probably be exclusive for me. Like, if I'm exclusive with you, sure, we could text every day. And when I say we could text every day, we could do a check-in, baby, okay? We could do a phone call, we could do a morning text, we could do a night text. But to be texting someone every single day and not be in a relationship with them, I think it's absurd, to be honest with you, okay?
Our phones are on our hand 24/7. If he's not texting you every day, he's texting someone else. That's settling. You know, for years, I bought into this school of thought that if a guy doesn't text me every day, well, fuck him, and I don't want that, and that's the behavior I want. And you know where that stemmed from? A deep-rooted insecurity and severe anxiety that I was going to be abandoned, I was going to be left, and that if somebody wasn't showing me their interest off the bat, well, then fuck them.
If you are an anxious attachment girly, the phrase, "if he wanted to, he would," is not for you. I feel like people are catching on to why the "if he wanted to, he would" mentality is not the healthiest mindset to have. But I feel like especially if you have anxious attachment, it can be very harmful. And I just feel like the phrase "if he wanted to, he would" kind of validates our almost toxic mindset of, I'm willing to do all this for them, they're not doing it for me, they must not like me, I have to break up with them.
Maybe the breadcrumbs is all they have to give you. Listen, a lot of the times we try to get more from people who have nothing left to give. We try to get a lot of love from people who don't have that love to give us. We try to get wholeness from people who are not whole themselves.
By using one sentence of, well, if he wanted to, he would, you are chalking up all of these nuances into a very black and white statement, which then also would imply that you're not good enough, because if he really wanted you, this person would go after you. So why are you taking away from them and yourself? 2, it's a lack of empathy and understanding. Think about even your own shit. If you're struggling with a lot of anxiety or avoidance or whatever the fuck is coming up for you, there are fears, vulnerabilities, there's fear of intimacy. We don't know what other people are going through.
When someone isn't responding to me, texting me back, or just feeling distant, I get really anxious and assume I've done something horribly wrong. How was conflict handled in your home growing up? Silent treatment, mostly. So you learned that silence equals abandonment. And when someone isn't responding to you, it's because something bad has happened and you need to figure out how to fix it.
Oh my God. A man's deepest fear is that he is not good enough or that he is incompetent. He wants to give but is afraid he will fail, so he doesn't try. If his biggest fear is inadequacy, he naturally is going to avoid any unnecessary risks. Ironically, when a man really cares a lot, his fear of failure increases and he gives less.
How are we feeling after that, guys? A little more grounded maybe in reality? Overall, I agree more clearly with those set of videos than I do with the first. I think all of this needs to be said with the very obvious, at least to me it's obvious, but maybe if you're watching this or listening to this, you don't think that I feel this way. But just because you can have empathy for someone, patience for someone, hold space for someone who is unable to show up for you, doesn't mean you should continue to date them or you should continue to hold on to hope for them. That's not what I'm saying. Maybe sometimes it's worth it. Like, let's say you've been in a relationship with someone for years and then they're going through a dark period, they're pulling away, they're not taking you out as much. I guess it depends on who you are. Maybe you want to stick it out and fight and give that person space and see what happens at the risk of not having your needs met for however many months or years because you are allowing space for that person, or maybe that means you leave. I don't know. Or, I mean, I think specifically with the if he wanted to, he would is referencing a little bit more like the beginning stages of dating because it's supposed to be the quote unquote honeymoon period. But I have fucking beef with that. And I'll tell you why. Because it's not the honeymoon period for everybody. It's not for everybody who is struggling with, maybe they just gone through a breakup, they're still processing that. Maybe they are in between jobs and they're scared to have that conversation with someone. Maybe they're struggling financially and they're not really like looking forward to going out on dates because they don't want to spend the money, but they want to see that person. Or maybe they just are extremely still healing and processing and growing from being fucked over time and time again. So the idea of like lawlessly, fully immersing yourself in a new relationship in the honeymoon period and just wanting to see them 24/7 and talking to them 24/7, maybe that's fucking terrifying to you, girl or guy. Maybe that's the worst part. For me, the worst part of dating is the first few weeks. I hate them. I hate the talking stage. I hate a first date. I hate a second date. I hate sleeping with a guy for the first time. I hate it. I feel so unsafe, so unstable. I really actually start to enjoy dating more months down the line because I finally can just like breathe and be like, okay, this person actually likes me. We're actually on the same page. And now I can start to enjoy myself. And this is just some people. I mean, I understand overall you should be super excited to get a call from a guy you like, but it's not always like, la, 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 I have no fears or anxieties or doubts or worries. Like, I think half the time when you like this girl explained at the end, she's speaking more for men because men, I think a lot of men have deep-seated insecurities about like their manhood and what they can provide, but also men have a lot of like inadequacy complexes, I find. But I think a lot of the time, the more you start to like someone, the more you are fucking fighting demons. You are fighting the devil on your shoulder, telling you that you are about to die. You are about to be hunted for sport. Like the way when I don't get a text from a guy I like in the first few weeks, I literally, my anxiety, I'm like, my heart, I feel like I'm being hunted for sport. When a man takes 4 hours to text me back, like that's not fun. It's part of dating, especially in the modern age. You just kind of get over it. For me, it's exposure therapy. The more I've dealt with this, because I've been single for almost 2 years now, more or less, except for the British guy, but whatever. I'm just kind of used to it now, and I've healed a lot just through like exposure therapy and just dealing with it. But like for some people, the honeymoon phase is not fun or not the easiest to navigate. So maybe they will actually step it up more or be more available later on. You don't know. You can't place this like one size fits all thing of like, if they don't show up for you in the first 2 weeks, they're not going to show up for you 2 years down the road. That's true a lot of the time. Like, you know, the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior, yada, yada, yada. But some people show up differently in relationships once it's been proven to them that they're safe in that relationship. That's okay. Like, not everyone's going to be like trusting, throwing themselves all in, laying themselves bare right off the bat. And so a lot of people take that hesitancy or that maybe a little bit of doubt, or maybe someone saying, I'm not sure if this is what I want, but I want to explore it or whatever. A lot of people take that as like, fuck you. You don't like me. I'm not the girl for you because you didn't know within 2 weeks that I'm your princess soulmate forever. And guys, I have had love at first sight. Haven't gotten to that story yet, but maybe one day I will. I have 100% felt love at first sight, fallen in love in the first moment I saw someone when I was 20. That did not end well. Okay? So sometimes slow and steady wins the race. Sometimes it doesn't. Everybody's different. I'm just saying. And I think a lot of the times men suck at saying the right thing. In my personal experience, not all men. Some men are wordsmiths, but men often say the wrong thing, let's be honest. Or they come on too strong, or they don't come on strong enough, or whatever. Like, men, I find, aren't quite as adept at talking about their emotions or their thoughts as women are. I think we can probably all agree on that. So I find, at least I learned this with my ex-boyfriend and stuff, the key is that they have to allow you that space to dig a little deeper. If they just shut you off, deflect, then whatever, it's worthless. But if you dig a little deeper into that comment or into that action, like, okay, can I just ask why you felt the need to say that? Or can I ask, did I do something to trigger something? A lot of times guys will actually like open up a bit and they'll kind of explain where they're coming from. And then it's just like, oh, and then you can just connect on like a human level. And it doesn't have to be so personal of like, you didn't want me, screw you, la, la, la. Like, we're all just human beings, like trying our best to get from Tuesday to Wednesday. You know what I mean? I think that's another issue with the if he wanted to, he would, is that a lot of the time you feel, especially as a woman, that it's like your fault just because it's kind of like, ladies, if he wanted to, he would. But instead, he's scratching his balls and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, so you're basically saying, and you're not meaning to say this, but just the way it's presented almost sounds like he would rather sit and scratch his balls than talk to you, so you must be the problem, or you are probably too available, or you're barking down the wrong tree. Like, a lot of it for some reason gives me like victim blamey vibes or like misogynistic energy. or, you know, he's talking to other girls or whatever. And like, you need to wise up, la, la, la. And it's like, I love how hopeful and patient women are. Like, women are carers by nature, you know? Women often are the ones who give multiple chances, who stick around, who try to communicate, who try to heal things. And I feel like that's being beaten out of women out of sheer survival instinct because it's been taken advantage of so many times. But I just want to say here that I love that about women. I love that women can put other people above themselves. Do you often get screwed over in the process? Yeah. And that sucks. But maybe you were that person's saving grace. Maybe you were exactly what that person needed to make it through like another year, to grow. And then, you know, hopefully you'll receive that love and that care in return, and karma will just repay you. But I'm a little sick of the tit for tat. I think this will be like my final point. I do have an article I want to talk about a little bit too. But I'm sick of the tit for tat energy that we currently live in with dating. I don't believe. Hot take. I don't believe that relationships are going to be reciprocal. Hardly ever. I just don't think that's realistic, especially long-term relationships, you know, long-term marriages, when it comes to having kids, when it comes to job changes. There's going to be weeks, months, years where maybe the man needs more support from the wife or the woman. Also, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm using completely like heteronormative terminology for this whole discussion. I do apologize for that. But I don't really want to speak for dating in the LGBTQ community and what those dynamics are because I'm not familiar with them. So I'm speaking more from a heteronormative perspective. So I just want to say that quickly. But there's also going to be moments when the woman, let's say maybe her pregnancy and her first 2 years postpartum, maybe there's going to be a shift in the dynamic there where the woman kind of checks out a little bit of the marriage because her attention is focused on the baby, and the man's going to need to ride that out, and he's going to just need to like take a back seat and support the woman. Maybe, you know, someone's going through a depressive episode because their parent died and they are not having sex with you. They're not communicating with you. They're not taking you out on dates. Like one of the other partners probably going to just have to like ride that out. It's very rare that two souls meet on the same path at the perfectly right time, both looking for the exact right thing, and it's just completely reciprocated. You plan a date, I plan a date, you call me, I call you. Like if that happens, great. There's going to be ebbs and flows, and there's going to be times when you need to like put your pride aside if you want a long-term relationship. I'm not saying you even need that because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of, sometimes it's risk. It's like, why did I just waste 5 years like nurturing this relationship for you to go and leave me? Like there's always risk involved with dating, but there's also reward, you know? But if you want a long-term relationship, you're going to have to survive the ebbs and flows, and you're going to have to put your pride aside sometimes, and even maybe put your own needs aside to show up for your partner. And you just gotta fucking pray that they will do the same for you when maybe that time comes for you. But it's not always going to be at the exact same time. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's sort of what we've been indoctrinated with recently, I think, with like social media. I think that kind of was just like common knowledge for like our grandparents and our parents and stuff, was just like, it's not always fun being in a relationship, like it's hard work, yada, yada, yada. Probably because we saw so many of our parents just like age well beyond their years, or our grandparents, because they were in these kind of toxic dynamics. I think we've really taken a step away from that, and we're like, if you're not giving me what I need, goodbye. Or if you're not showing up for me in the ways I need to be shown up for, goodbye, you know? And it's very rooted in me, instead of what can I give? And I really try to remind myself that even when I'm dating, even if a guy is being so fucking annoying and like not being, like whatever, he didn't text me back, or he's going through a hard time and he's pulling away. It's one thing if a guy completely disrespects you, but if a guy's just going through a hard time, pulling away, I used to want to attack because that was fully coming from ego. But now I just try to be like, check in with him, see if he's okay. Like, you know, it doesn't mean you need to date him, but you can just say, well, I hope you're okay. And, you know, I wish you all the best. Or if you want to talk about things, like, I'm here. Like, I think men need more of that. And I think a lot of these men are on these dating apps for like people to talk to. Like, I think a lot of men are really lonely and like really not okay and have like lost their place and lost their purpose and like don't know what they're meant for anymore. And I don't have a ton of empathy, just in the sense where men created this structure in society. But I'm also a human being, and I have my girlfriends, my sister, my mom. Like, I have so many women I can go to when I'm struggling who will like be there like that. They'll call me, they'll text me, they'll reassure me. Like, women have each other. Men are way more isolated, I find, and don't maybe feel like they have a lot of people to just talk to and chit chat to. And I swear, like, half these guys, I'm like, you just want a friend, don't you? Because they have no desire to take you out, buy you flowers, date you, introduce you to people. They literally just want to chit chat and hear about your day and talk about their day and FaceTime and la la la. And it's like, okay, we can be buddies, sure. Like, I don't know. I guess I just am trying to view the whole if he wanted to, he would thing with a little bit more of an empathetic lens towards men. Just kidding. Because men are just learning, I think in a lot of ways, men are trying to adjust to, and again, this is their own fault because they set up the structure, and I'm not saying women should change. Do not take this as me saying you need to change your standards or lower your standards. That's not what I'm saying. Like, don't ever date someone who you don't want to date or feel like is not respecting you. I'm just saying, I feel like just saying, okay, he clearly doesn't like me because he didn't take me out this Friday. I just think that's a bit naive, if I'm being honest. I think a lot of men are struggling to adapt to this new set of standards and expectations that women have, because women now, in the last 10 years, maybe especially with like the surge of social media and women finding that camaraderie and support, women are like not putting up with shit anymore. And women have like a very different set of standards for how they want the first date to go, how they want a man to be as a father, how they want the man to be as a husband. Like, I also feel like men are like fish out of water and are like, what the hell? Like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to navigate. I don't know how to communicate the way these women want me to communicate. I don't know how to do that. I don't know what to do. Like, they're literally struggling to function day to day. I saw this really funny, it wasn't funny, it was quite sad actually. It was a TikTok comment, but it was like, the way men cannot function with day-to-day occurrences and problems is an epidemic. Like, the way men will cut you off, cut everyone off in their life and like go dark because they're just overwhelmed with life and they feel like they can't reach out to people or communicate. They feel like they just have to like fix everything first and then they can reemerge. It's sad. And like, I remember like I'd be talking to guys and I'm like, oh, like what's going, they're like, I'm having a really, really hard time. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, oh, work's been busy. And my friend is fighting with his girlfriend. So I'm just really struggling. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry to hear. I'm like, man, I was dealing with those problems. Like, oh my God, please. Like, women just have like, I think a higher like pain tolerance with like emotional pain and physical pain than men do. So women are just like, what? Like, you can text me because of that? But to each their own. We also need to hold space for men who are walking through this new zeitgeist that we live in the 2020s. Things are very different. Men and women, their expectations in society are very different. And it's going to take some time, I think, for people to figure out how this is going to work. Because we don't want to go back to the old ways, but I don't think a lot of people are happy with how things are going right now either. I'm just going to quickly pull a few pieces from this article that I found that I thought was really, really interesting. It's from Glamour. If he wanted to, he would is horrible relationship advice. And then it says, the opening line is, stop listening to TikTok. Some of you have never dated an anxious person, and it shows. I love that. If he wanted to, he would, begins Caleb, a TikTok micro-influencer. Look, men are not dumb. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm reading from the article. Let me stop you there, Caleb. I have to interject. Would someone please lay me down on a dusty road and use my body as a dirt bike jump so I can enter a relaxing comatose state and no longer have to hear the phrase, if he wanted to, he would. Relatable. This platitude has That's the perfect word for it. Platitude. I have a whole episode on annoying platitudes, guys. I could literally talk about platitudes all day, every day. Check that episode out if you're interested. This platitude has come to be a constant refrain on social media, as obnoxious and frequent as a car insurance commercial. It's shorthand for the idea that if a man is interested or wants to be with you, he'll figure out a way to make it happen or to show that woman. And if he doesn't, she should move on immediately. The ostensible purpose here is to help women save time and energy while dating, which it does by way of making them feel both undesirable and stupid. Preach. Preach. It is very popular saying. TikTok videos with the hashtag "if he wanted to, he would" have been viewed more than 155 million times. Country singer Kylie Morgan put out a song called "If He Wanted to, He Would," and the lyrics include, oh yeah, this fucking song. If he loved you, he would tell you. If he missed you, he would call. Is this tough love, or just the slow, grinding messaging that being a woman who dates men is a lifetime of waiting to be picked? Like in middle school PE class. Some people who preach "if he wanted to, he would" are genuinely trying to be helpful. That's what I said earlier in the episode. They are often addressing women who are in relationships with men who treat them poorly, and they are trying to alleviate the pain of an extended rejection or ghosting. But that's not what comes across when someone says, "if he wanted to, he would." What comes across is, that man doesn't want you. Get it through your head. If you keep trying to make something happen with him and he keeps treating you badly, that's on you. Now you're not only undesirable, but you're stupid. Okay, this is like perfectly summarizing. I should have just read this for the whole podcast because she's saying it a lot better than I would. One good phrase to substitute for "if he wanted to, he would" is, your boyfriend is an asshole. It's interesting though, this is referencing a lot relationships, like boyfriend, girlfriend, long-term relationships, whereas I was talking more about the early stages of dating. So it's kind of interesting to get both sides. Or if you're worried about alienating your friend, which often happens when you say bullshit things like this to people who are dating and struggling, it sounds like you prioritize his needs, but he doesn't do the same. Or maybe, I noticed that he treats his dog better than you. Okay, that's a little savage. Women in shitty relationships do not need emotional bludgeoning by more quote-unquote fortunate women who are in relationships, or smug lectures by straight men. Whoa! I'm printing that out, putting it on a poster board, and putting it up in my fucking room above my bed. I love that. I will say it again for the people in the back. Women in shitty relationships or dating shitty men do not need emotional bludgeoning by more fortunate women in relationships, or smug lectures by straight men. I'm heated. I love that. Often, "if he wanted to, he would" is applied to women who are in the early stages of dating or talking to men and are still teetering between some form of commitment or estrangement. Literally story of my life. It's true that these unlabeled situationships can be infuriating and heartbreaking, especially when there's a lack of communication or intentional manipulation on one person's part. But I'm sorry, some of you have never dated an introvert before, and it shows. Some of you have never romanced a person with a beautiful heart but a debilitating anxiety disorder. Preach. If you live by this adage, you will never connect with anyone who is an overthinker or a little socially awkward, or maybe just has a bit too much humility. I fucking love this. I love this article. I'm printing it out and putting it under everyone's doors in my building. Slide under the doors. I can't believe I'm saying this, but men with low self-esteem are people too. This is going to be the best episode I ever put up. I think straight men might actually like this episode for once. Yay! The phrase is almost always directed at women who date men. It is "he's not that into you" updated for the 2020s. It's so regressive that it sounds like it belongs in the 1950s. We have to stop letting people infected by misogyny write catchy phrases. We have to stop letting people infected by misogyny write catchy phrases. "If he wanted to, he would" paints women as generally desperate, which is interesting because if we're dealing in generalizations, straight men are the most desperate people in society. There are infinite reasons men might do or not do the things they do. And then she ends with the question you want to be asking is, what do you want? And you can still hold space for people. Let's say a guy you're dating, you can still hold space for him if he's going through a hard time, he's struggling, while also maintaining your boundaries and maintaining your standards. I will die on this hill. If you have an open heart, an open mind, you want to love someone, you give someone a chance, good for you. I would rather be that person who maybe comes on a little strong, or, oh, you saw the best in him, even though there was a red flag here, blah, blah. I'd rather be that girl than whatever the hell has happened to the other half of humanity who literally can't open their heart for anyone. So just don't let social media bully you. Don't let obnoxious women in relationships or straight men who think they know women's brains better than women do not let them bully you into making you feel dumb. You are a lover girl, and that is a power, and that is a strength. And you can give someone grace and give someone multiple chances or whatever it may be. You can see the benefit of the doubt in someone and still be strong and still be a feminist and still be empowered. It doesn't have to be so stark one or the other. Maybe instead of saying, if he wanted to, he would, you could say, I wonder if he's going through a hard time. Or I wonder if he's struggling to communicate. Or just say, what am I going to eat for lunch today? What am I going to work out at the gym today? Just redirect the energy into yourself, because it's not your fault. Men, who knows why men do the things they do, but honestly, and I think men would agree with me on this, a lot of the times it's a them problem. If they're ghosting you, it's because they can't find the right words, or they don't have the moral ability to see that it's wrong to ghost someone. There's just so many things. If they cheat on you, it's because their ego is damaged and they need a quick hit of dopamine, and they're weak and they're cowardly. Like, it's them. It's a them problem. Like, it's not a reflection on you and your value. So if he's not texting you, not taking you out, it's not because you're not good enough. It's because he doesn't, A, he's just not in the right place mentally, or B, he doesn't have the communication skills to say that, which is sad, but that's his problem to deal with. Or C, he's just in a self-sabotage struggle bus by himself, just trudging along. And unfortunately, he's probably going to damage a lot of women in the process. But I hope with this type of, these articles and these TikToks, and hopefully this podcast, who knows, giving myself a lot of credit, women will stop being so damaged by this. And I've had to learn this the hard way and like coach myself into like rewiring my thought patterns. At the end of the day, you are in control of how you handle situations, and you're in control of how much energy you want to give people and how much grace you want to give people. And you can change your mind at any point. Like, you can say, you know what, today I'm going to give this guy benefit of the doubt. The next day, let's say he does it again, you can change your mind and you can put up that boundary. You know, just take it day by day. But like she said, if you want to cut off, I'm going to say a solid 60% of the population who are anxious overthinkers, maybe a little bit introverted, maybe have gone through some trauma. If you want to cut off 60% at least of people in the world, then keep using the phrase without any context. If you wanted to, you would. Okay, guys, I'm going to do it at the end of the episode because I forgot to do it at the beginning. But I'm going to quickly do the 411. If you don't care, sign off here. Sayonara. Love you so, so much. Subscribe and share this video with everyone on planet Earth. Instagram stories. I don't care. Send it to your friends. Boost it, boost it, boost it, boost it, boost it. Make sure you leave 5-star rating and review. Make sure you compliment me. Thank you so much. I love you. If you want to stick around for some recommendations in the 411 section, then we're going to do that quickly now. Also, I hope you guys like my little green getup. It is St. Patrick's Day this weekend, so I decided to be a little festive and dress up in a cute little green sweater for St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, guys. Okay, the book I'm currently reading, which is so good so far, it's a thriller. I've been in my thriller era. Also, guys, not that you probably care, but I'm doing a 2024 book reading goal on Goodreads, and I have 50 books set as my goal, and I'm already at 12, so I am ahead of schedule for 2024, and I'm hoping to read 50 novels in 2024, so I will keep you updated, even though you probably don't care. This book I'm reading is called We Are All the Same in the Dark by Julia Heberlin. So freaking good. I'm literally only maybe a quarter through, but just the writing style, the descriptions, the imagery, it's just gritty. Song I'm listening to a lot. I gotta be honest, I'm not a huge Ariana Grande girl. That album did nothing for me. Gonna get canceled. I don't know. I've never loved her, especially after the last year. I don't love her, but like, it's okay. It's a good album. It's fine. I don't know. I don't know what the big deal is, to be quite honest, but maybe I'm just a hater, but like, it's okay. I like her old stuff more, to be honest. But one song I am really popping my pussy to is Drag Me Out by Callow. So good. If you want a song to just strut down the street to, a song to dance to on your way to the club, a song in the gym. She goes, I don't like none of yo hoes on board. Doesn't anyone dance in this town no more? I don't like none of yo hoes on board. Like, it's so good. Oh, so good. Show. So I'm literally right now, I've been binging Vanderpump Rules, as you guys know, and I'm literally on season 10 finale, part 3. So there was 3 parts of the finale, the whole Scandival situation. So I'm on part 3. Raquel has just been brought out to the floor. Whew, it is a lot. It is a lot. Everyone is acting a damn fool. All of them, to be quite honest, in my opinion. James, Lala, all of them are acting wild. Crazy. And then I also watched an amazing movie last night with my dad and his partner. It was called Anatomy of a Fall. It won Best Screenplay, I believe, at the Oscars. So good. It's on Prime if you guys have Prime. It's long. It's like 2.5 hours long, but so well done. Amazing acting, amazing writing. You feel like you're right in there. It feels like a documentary or something. Like you feel like you're right there with them. So those are my recommendations, guys. I hope you have a great St. Patrick's Day. I hope you pop your ass like a little leprechaun. Okay, I love you guys so much. Have a great week. Enjoy the sunshine, and I will see you next week. Bye.